All right, so I'm making this video to commemorate 9 years of sobriety from drugs and alcohol. I've made a couple of these in the past years, and I don't know how many I've done, but I thought I would speak on my history with alcohol and drug abuse and why I stopped and where I'm at today with it, and just tell my story. So maybe if you're out there and you're at a similar stage, whether that's before, during, or after alcohol and drug abuse, maybe you can relate to this in one way or another. And I think it's a wonderful feeling when you can feel just a little less alone. So I'm 32 years old now. I started getting inebriated at age 16, sophomore year of high school. I think I started late compared to my friends. I was very much against smoking marijuana. I was very much against doing drugs up until sophomore year, second semester. And just to give you a little bit of a background, I grew up in San Diego. I grew up in an affluent town called Poway, California, which is in North County, San Diego. And my friends and myself were involved in using, selling, celebrating, our lives revolving around drugs and partying. And so that was my life. That was what I knew. That was what I understood. That was what I enjoyed. And you can think about, like, why do people get into drugs and why does it become more than just partying? Because it definitely did, and I'll get into that in a few minutes. But I think, why did I become so enveloped in drug abuse and alcoholism? A lot of it had to do with my friends acted as my parents. So my parents split when I was 7. My mom and dad are both wonderful people, but in those circumstances, I was by myself a lot. And when I say by myself, I was off doing my own thing, hanging out with my friends. And so I really had a lot of respect for my friends, and what we like to do was escape reality. And so that's a bit of a background for you. The first drug of choice that I became interested in was cough syrup. That was second semester of sophomore year of high school. That was the first thing that I experimented with, and all of us, my friends, we got very heavy into it. Super dangerous, like, just like super large, stupid amounts of cough syrup at like a young age, and not really knowing what it does to you long term. And but thankfully, I think I've come out like pretty much unscathed. So yeah, we started with cough syrup, and then started smoking weed. Started with just like, a few days a week, and then eventually it was every day. And then in college, it was as soon as I woke up to when I went to bed at night. I used it as fuel to get through the day. And I think that's the theme with a lot of this, like, whatever it is, if it was weed, liquor, coke, whatever, pills, it's like I needed to be doing something, and I had to be obsessed with something. Like, I couldn't just sit still alone feeling comfortable. I always had to go somewhere else and get that, even though you can get that comfort, that joy, that inner peace by doing many other things aside from drinking and using drugs, like meditation, exercise, being around somebody you love, having a genuine human connection. Because all getting high and getting drunk is you're searching for a connection synthetically that you didn't want to, or you couldn't find that connection with another human being or another source of energy in this world that doesn't destroy your body and mind. So I think that's what every addict is searching for, connection. And when they don't find that, or they don't have it, they don't facilitate it. I'm very much big on accountability. So it's like, dude, it doesn't even matter what your circumstances were growing up. It's up to you to facilitate that connection, because it's all around us, right? Like, you can feel a deep connection with the earth, just being out in nature and realizing the natural flow of things, like the ebb and flow of the universe. And it's like this very calming and a big sense of nirvana that you can get of this, like, life goes on. Like, I think that's a big thing that nature teaches you. It's this cycle of life and death, of ebb and flow, highs and lows. And it's like, it's okay, and when it's not okay, we'll deal with it then. You know, like, nature doesn't freak out over the future. So I think that was a bit of a tangent, but yeah, high school, cough syrup, weed, drinking a lot, partying, but it pretty much stayed at like a partying level. And then when I got to college, started using marijuana, like, very frequently in large amounts, a couple of grams a day. If I didn't have money for it, I would literally print out fake money and buy it. Some pretty, like, wild stuff that I'm not going to talk about, because I don't believe in talking about that type of stuff. But yeah, I got very deep into just, like, needing to be high and, like, needing to be not here, not right now, needing to feel something other than what I was feeling as my default state. And in college, that's when I just started overdoing it with the alcohol. From like 2011 to 2014, I was blacked out most days, if not every day. I don't remember a whole lot, to be honest. And then a couple months leading up to my sobriety date, which is December 20th, 2014. That sounds so wild, because it just seems so long ago. It's like I've lived two lives for real. But yeah, a couple months leading up to me getting clean, I was cognizant of, like, yo, this is destroying my body. Oh, by the way, my friends were dying left and right from drug overdoses or driving drunk or things of that nature. And that's just what happens when you live fast, you die young. And that was, like, weighing heavy on me, you know? When your best friend dies from fentanyl, it makes you think twice about, like, the decisions that you're making, you know? And it took a lot of that, though. It took, like, a lot. But yeah, I was 23, and a couple months leading up to me getting sober, December 20th, 2014, I could really feel the alcohol, the cocaine, the OxyContin use, the benzodiazepine abuse, like, all at once, was really just taking a toll on my body. And I make music too, and so I would hear myself, you know, I'd record stuff the night before, I'd listen to it the next day, and I'd hear myself slurring and fucking up the song. And music is like the only thing I've ever had, you know? And that was another wake-up call. See, there were, like, a bunch of wake-up calls. I got arrested multiple times, went to jail when I was in high school for DUI, and there were so many things adding up. But the like deciding factor was, I'm 23 years old. If I want a shot at a dope life, which I've always been highly ambitious, I've got to stop. And I stopped before with marijuana. I had to stop a couple times with that. That was the hardest thing for me to stop, by the way. Everybody says like, oh, it's just weed. Like, no, dude, weed affects everybody's brain so uniquely, and that's something I learned way like years later into my sobriety. But like the alcohol, that was so much easier to quit than weed. The coke was so much easier, the pills were so much easier, and that's just me. You know, the benzos can be a nightmare as well. I ended up in a hospital because I was withdrawing off of those one time. So it was like, it's just all these things, but my ego didn't want to give up that state of euphoria that I could just access instantly, you know. For $60 I could buy a gram and have fun for like 4 to 5 hours, you know, as opposed to like facilitating that sense of aliveness by myself. I looked like everywhere else but myself. And so I got clean because I didn't want to die young. I was tired of making my mother worry about me. And my niece was about 1.5 at the time, if I remember correctly. And I just wanted to be a decent role model for her. So those are the 3 reasons why I got clean. And for me, it was the right decision. Like, and still to this day, I'm still an addict. I just don't actively use, and I never will. But like things that I do, I go 100%. You know, I'm either 0 or 100. And I think it's, you know, different days I see it differently. But right now, I think it's a good thing. It's taken me to a lot of cool places, like that obsession, you know, with something until you get it just right. But there's so many reasons why people self-destruct with drugs and alcohol, and it's like it gives them a sense of control. It's instant gratification. You don't have to work for it, really. Like it's a very easy way to feel good. It's fast, it's cheap, it's easy. It's like, it's just comfort. It's pure comfort, you know. There's an album by the band Under Oath called They're Only Chasing Safety. And it's like, that's what using drugs and drinking is. You're just chasing safety the whole time because you're so afraid of like what might happen in the future, or like you're not comfortable with certain feelings or thoughts that you have. So you just run from everything. And like, that's what I did my entire life. I was running from everything. And your life doesn't begin until you start facing that which makes you deathly afraid. Like, you have to face your fears or they will consume you. That's just how life works. But the beautiful thing is that when you truly face your fears and you get out on the other side, and you're like, oh, I survived. That was like so much easier than I thought it was gonna be. That feeling on the other side is like, you leveled up, right? And now you can go on to the next challenge. And that's what life is. It's just a series of challenges. But like younger Jackson, I didn't want challenges. I wanted to feel good now, and I wanted it to be easy. Like, that's what I thought the point of life was. You know, I was like, fuck everything else, fuck school. I put getting inebriated before everything else in life. And it's because I didn't believe in myself. I had built this habituation of escaping reality from a young age. And I think that is a huge part of it. It's just habits. Like now, my habits, I work out like crazy, and I write a lot of music, and I work hard to make money, and I try and help people. Like, those are my habits now. I still have some bad habits, but I'm definitely still human, and I definitely make mistakes like all the time. But I'm not destroying myself anymore, and I don't involve myself in that lifestyle. Like, I'm not even around it. And even if I was, I'm a whole 180 from the person I used to be. Like, a reason why it's so easy for me to stay clean now, and I've never had a single urge in my entire sobriety in 9 years. I've never once had a single urge of like, oh, I need to get fucked up. Never once. And a big reason of that is that you can't take it to a level higher than I took it. Like, once you use cocaine 1,000 times, the 1,001st time does not get any better. and that's the same thing with anything in life. Like, if you overdo anything, it doesn't get better. It only gets worse. I promise you. You just have to use more. You got to pay more money. You feel sicker the next day. There are diminishing returns with everything in life. And so that allows me to be like, all right, well, we saw how far that goes. If we took it any further, well, you get buried in the ground. And I don't want to do that. So it's like, I already know that route. I know the end of that too. I saw it, right? Like, I was within arm's reach. And so it's like, for me, it's binary. You go down that route, you die young. You go down the route I'm on right now, I have a shot at living a fulfilling, successful, healthy, fun life. That's all it is. And when I made the commitment to get clean, that's like for life, That's like the beautiful thing about being an addict. You can you have this intense drive to achieve that which you are fixated on. And so I just changed what I'm fixated on now. Now I'm going to become a rock star, make a lot of money, have a wonderful family. That's what I'm fixated on now. And like helping people. Before, it was all about myself and what can I get for me right now to make me not have to think, make me not have to feel. And now it's been 9 years, I'm still learning how to deal with difficult emotions. That's like the main thing, dealing with being patient. Most recently, like acutely, in this time frame, I've been thinking about the idea of letting go. And I read David Hawkins's book, The Pathway to Surrender, Letting Go, years ago, pretty soon after I got clean, I think. And I think that's what opened up my mind to the idea of when you stop trying to control everything, it gives you this peace. And so many of us, and I'm very much guilty of this to this day, we try and control everything, right? Like, oh God, I'm pissed off that this person didn't act this certain way, that they didn't do it like I would have done it. That's what people are really saying when they're pissed off at somebody. They're saying, they didn't do it like I did it. And that's fucked up. That's mean. That's cruel. That's like, you have all this judgment, right? But when you just like let go of that need to control every next moment, it brings you into the present. And it's like you just have to give up. And it's for a lot of people that are like type A, they like things a certain way, they're not good with uncertainty, they cling on to try and control everything. And what I've learned is that life will force you incrementally to let go, let go, let go. And then once you finally let go, it's like, oh, so I'm not able to play God. And whether or not I'm thinking about this obsessively or worrying about this, something happening in the future, it has zero dictation on what is actually going to happen. So it's like control, no control. There are many things in your control, there are, but it's like in your own personal bubble. Everything outside of that, you have zero control. And once you let go, you're free from anxiety, depression, and you're just here now. And so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I just wanted to riff. I didn't prepare anything. If you're struggling with drugs and alcohol, I'm not going to tell you get clean, because I wouldn't have listened either. But I will tell you that, like, coming from somebody that was really in it, I wouldn't be here if I didn't get clean. And I did so many cool things after my sobriety that I would have never gotten the opportunity to do. So if you have a feeling that drugs and alcohol are deterring your life from fulfillment and happiness, just consider it. Just consider, hey, is there a better way I could be doing this? Like, everything gets better when you get clean. It just does. And then you're able to work on who you actually are, as opposed to running from everything and just being afraid of the world. It's like, dude, you can look up. You can open up. You can let go. It's all right. But when you're in that habitual routine of, I gotta get away, I gotta get away, I gotta get away, it's now your neural pathways are connecting in an unhealthy manner, but it's what you're used to. So that's how your brain works. It just wants more of what you're already doing. That's why even if somebody hates running, for instance, if they run for 3 weeks straight, you're eventually going to start liking it, because you're forming those neural pathways in your brain that are like, oh yeah, we do this around this time and it makes us feel like this. It's the same exact thing with using drugs and alcohol. Oh yeah, when we're down, we use this at this time to feel this. It's just neural pathways. It's just habits at the end of the day. And if you're able to stop for even one day, you can stay clean the rest of your life. I promise you. You got this if you're struggling. I love you so much. Thank you for listening to me. If I did it, so can you. Like, I was a train wreck, and I still am a bit of a train wreck. But at least I'm still here. So thank you so much for listening. And let me know in the comments if what your thoughts are. Peace.